Hello everyone, I'm Nan and I will be presenting my final presentation. In this presentation, I'll be discussing three discoveries and how each of these topics has influenced me. My first topic is animal and human language, where I would like to focus on the unique characteristics of human language, which include displacement, arbitrariness, cultural transmission, productivity, and duality. Among these five features, I want to concentrate on arbitrariness. The definition of arbitrariness is that there is no natural or necessary connection between a linguistic form and its meaning. A clear example is the word for the common fruit apple, which takes on completely different form in English, Spanish, Korean, and much more languages. Since the relationship is not essential, language is not constrained by existing sounds, allowing us to continuously create new words for new concepts. This principle is key to maximizing language's productivity and efficiency. An exception lies in onomatopoeic words, where the sound does bear some resemblance to the meaning. However, even these sound symbols are conventionalized and vary across languages. Therefore, these exceptions do not invalidate the principle, but instead show that even when trying to mimic sounds, human language adheres to its own systemic, arbitrary phonological rules. My second topic is language and brain, and I will be focusing specifically on aphasia. Aphasia is defined as an impairment of language function due to localized brain damage that leads to difficulty in understanding and/or producing linguistic forms. There are three main types of aphasia. First, in Broca's aphasia, speech is not fluent, slow, while auditory comprehension is relatively preserved. Second, with Wernicke's aphasia, speech is fluent but often empty of meaning, and auditory comprehension is severely impaired. Finally, conduction aphasia, auditory comprehension and fluency are generally maintained, but the ability to repeat heard speech is significantly impaired. The third topic is first language acquisition. I looked at the developmental stages of how children form questions and negatives. When forming questions, in stage 1, children primarily use intonation or add where to one or two words. In stage 2, they introduce what and why, forming two or three words sentences. And it is only in stage 3 that they begin to use inversion with 3 or 4 words, though non-adult forms like "why Kitty can't do it" still appear. Similarly, when forming negatives in stage 1, children add no or not at the beginning of the sentence. In stage 2, they add no or not to the verb or use don't or can't. In stage 3, more complex forms like didn't or won't are used, but non-adult forms such as this not ice cream also coexist. Why do children go through these intermediate stages? Children first formulate the simplest, most general rule and test it out by applying it to all sentences. For example, placing a WH word in the front. Complex rules such as subject auxiliary inversion are cognitively difficult and are integrated later. Therefore, these errors in the intermediate stages are not failures. They are logical steps necessary for building and refining the adult grammatical system. Children are not mere imitators, they are active little linguists who experiment with language. Now, I would like to talk about how this information has personally influenced me. Uh, Learning about the concept of arbitrariness made me realize once again that there is no necessary conception between words' form and its meaning. This concept perfectly aligned with my experience studying English and Spanish simultaneously. Because both languages were influenced by Latin, I initially thought many words would be similar. However, in practice, words with same meaning often had completely dissimilar forms, which frequently confused me. For example, words for money like money and dinero or for fire like fire and fuego had the same meaning but completely different shapes and sounds. This made me wonder why are they so different. It wasn't until I learned about arbitrariness that I understood the reason. The form of a word does not explain its meaning, it is merely the result of an arbitrary agreement established by each linguistic community. Thanks to this understanding, I reduced my habit to trying to force a connection between the form and meaning when I learn new words, and I was able to accept more naturally that language is inherently based on the principle of arbitrariness. Learning about aphasia was an opportunity to correct my misconceptions. Before taking this course, I didn't truly understand how specific parts of the brain were responsible for different aspects of language. I had heard of people losing the ability to speak or understand after a brain injury, but I didn't know that these difficulties were directly linked to damage in particular regions such as Broca's area or Wernicke's area. Learning about aphasia made me realize how complex and structured our language system is inside the brain. It also made me appreciate the fragility of our ability to communicate, how something as small as damage to one region can completely change the way a person speaks or understands language. This topic helped me see language not just as a set of skills we learn, but as a deeply biological and neurological function. Finally, I will connect the impact of forming questions and forming negatives to my personal experience. When I was helping my younger cousin learn to speak, I noticed that he went through very clear developmental stages in both question formation and negative formation. In the beginning, he produced early question forms such as "Why you late?", simply putting the question word at the front without changing the word order. I also observed very early negative forms like "no homework", where he placed "no" in front of the main word. As my cousin received more linguistic exposure and feedback, his sentences gradually became more complete, developing into forms like why are you late and I don't want to do homework. Through these observations, I realized that first language acquisition theories are valuable because they explain how grammatical structures naturally develop in stages as children learn to speak. The the errors my cousin made were not mistakes in the adult sense, but predictable steps that showed he was actively building and testing rules. Watching his language gradually become more complete helped me appreciate that understanding these developmental stages is essential for interpreting how children acquire grammar and how their linguistic system grows over time. Thank you for listening to my presentation.